Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Real Life Excel. Hope you're having a good weekend. If you haven't checked my previous video on this series, if you've never worked on Excel before, go check out that previous video. Kind of leads up to this current video. Anyways, I wanted to show some examples of using some quick basic formulas in Excel that can make your life a whole lot easier. So right now I have the sum formula, average, the min and max, count, and then today and now. You can see I have, a small set of numbers right here, but, who wants to manually add all these together? This is what the sum formula does. Who wants to add these manually all together, one by one? Luckily, Excel, like I said earlier, is a giant calculator. So what I can do is, if I click on the equal sign, remember this is our most powerful tool that we have in Excel. If I click the equal sign and then type in sum, kind of like the one right here, you can see that Excel is starting to bring up some suggestions of formulas or functions that you want to create. And here, the first one that Excel recognizes is sum. And so basically, if I click tab, basically this formula or function will allow you to sum either 1, 2, or as many numbers as you want and give you that result. So right now I have the sum function selected. And if I just use my mouse and then drag and select, you can see that Excel is starting to select and highlight this area in blue, saying, okay, you selected cells B3. As we mentioned in the previous video, this is a cell, and we're looking at these specific cells from B3 to B10. And we can see it right here in the formula, B3 to B10. So now that we have that completed, we can do a closing parentheses to say, okay, this is our sum function or a sum formula within these cells. And if I click enter, it automatically, let me bold that, it automatically added all these numbers together to 107. Now this is doing it vertically. We can also do this horizontally. So if I type in equals sum, then select and drag all these numbers here, all 8 of these numbers. You can see it's selected from columns D7 to K7. If I do closing parentheses, click enter, and it's 107 as well. So pretty nifty if you have a lot of numbers that you want to add up, but you just don't want to do it manually. Excel will automatically, using this formula, automatically just add up all these cells' number value into one, which is pretty nifty. Another one that I wanted to look at is average. So as the name implies, if we have a set of numbers that we want to get average or the mean, then this function will work perfectly for us instead of just doing it manually. So if I click on the equals key and then type in average, you can see that average turns up as a potential formula or function that Excel can provide us. So here it says returns the average or the mean of its arguments. So if I click tab, and then similar to the sum function, if I just select and drag that down, here we can see Excel has highlighted these numbers. Then do a closing parentheses. And here we have our 13.37. So it automatically recognizes all these numbers within the data selected that we selected and automatically created the average for us, or calculated the average for us. Perfect. And we can do that as well horizontally. So type in average. Let me just select and drag all that, making sure that I'm adding up, or I guess averaging out all 8 numbers, and then doing a closing parentheses, then click enter. Here we have our 13.37. Perfect. Here's another one that's a little bit nifty. If you have thousands and thousands of data points, and Excel can get pretty large, min and max can automatically find the smallest and the largest value within that data set. So here we have a small data set, and obviously we can see that the min is 5 and the max is 20. But in this situation, we just want to use this little formula or this little function. So it returns the smallest number in a set of values. So here we can just select and drag down the highlighting to select these 8 numbers, do a closing parentheses, and here it will automatically select 5. Now let's just say I delete this number 5. Well, Excel is pretty smart and it will automatically create a new min of 8. So since 5 was removed from the number, the selected data, then it will immediately go to the next lowest number since it was removed. So now that 5 is no longer the lowest number, 8 is now the lowest number. Let me just bring that back in there, type in 5, and now 5 is back. And let me just do the max, so you can see I typed in min for the first one. But let me type in max, and here we have max. Type that in. Click the tab key to change the formatting. And then we can just select all these 8 data points, do closing parentheses, and here we have 20. And same thing with the min. If I delete the number 20, it will immediately go to the next highest value, which is now 19. So let me type in 20 again in here. And then let's do the same thing. We can also do this horizontally. So again, selecting all the data points, and then typing in max. And then there's 20 as well. So pretty helpful if you have data that's in a vertical format or in a horizontal format, depending on how the data is presented or how you want the data to be presented. It's pretty nifty that these formulas can be done both ways. All right, so count. So count is a pretty nifty formula if you want to know how many data points are in your data set. So for example, right now we have 8. So we have 8 data points, and count will automatically count the number of data points, as the name implies. But if you have, I don't know, tens of thousands of data points, then it might be a little bit difficult to count all of those. So count is good for counting all of our data points. So if I type in count, here we can see we have count and then the values that we can select. And we'll just select again our same values, do closing parentheses, and here we have 8. So if we go back, we can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Perfect. And again, this can also be done horizontally. Here we have our count function. And there's 8. Now these two are a little bit different than the other ones. The other ones are more related with numbers. These two are related with dates. So let's say you have a spreadsheet that every once in a while you check on, but you just don't really have time to update dates all the time or the time. Well, these formulas are pretty nifty to calculate the date and time. So if I type in equals today, Excel will return the current date that it has on the computer. So if I type in today and the tab key, and here it's pretty simple. We just do another closing parentheses. Excel just recognizes immediately, okay, you want this day, literally today. So if I press enter, here we can have March 9th, 2025, which is today. And now, literally now the function, if I type in now, this is for looking at the date and time. So this is a little bit more specific. So here we have March 9th, 2025 at 7:26 p.m. my current time. So pretty nifty if you have a spreadsheet that needs to be updated by the date and time, kind of telling you, okay, this is when I last updated it. This is like, yeah, when I last updated it, and you'll be able to see automatically get updated, which is pretty nifty. So I just wanted to create a quick video of some basic formulas that most Excel users use on a daily basis usually, and hopefully it helped. Thanks, guys.